Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the November 29th School Committee meeting to order. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, the open session meeting on October 25th.
So moved.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Executive session on October 25th.
Move to approve and seal.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no correspondence. No one has signed up for public comment. Chair will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, superintendent's report.
Thank you,
Go
Dr.
home.
Pilata. We are very excited tonight to have so many kids and students joining us at the meeting to recognize your accomplishments. So we're going to start first with Coach Jerry Rubino and the high school girls tennis team for their accomplishment of winning the Sportsmanship Award, which we value just as much as the victory.
Thank you, Bo. Before I talk a little bit about the team and the award that they received, I think it's important just to put it in a little context on the season, and I think it makes you appreciate a little bit more what they accomplished and what they were given by the Coaches Association this year.
It was a very difficult, I would say it's probably the most challenging season I've ever had. And I've been the coach here since 1991. We found out in August, we all thought when we left in June we were going to be playing at brand new tennis courts at Stephen Olney Park. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We found out about a week before that we were going to have to play the entire season on the road. And I know other teams have done it. The boys team have done it last year. I know Mr. Ficcicelli, when he was coaching Central Falls, he had to do it a couple of seasons, play the whole season on the road. But we've had some really, really long drives this year. We had to play in Charahoe, in Westerly, in Narragansett, South Kingstown, Newport. I mean, pretty much the entire, furthest parts of the state. We'd leave at 2:30, we'd get home after 8 o'clock, long days. We thought we were going to have one home match at the end of the season. Unfortunately, that got, the courts weren't going to be ready, so we had to have our senior night at Slater Park in Pawtucket. And I want to thank Mrs. Fontaine for decorating the courts, and she did a wonderful job and made it a wonderful night. But at the beginning of the season, we had a couple of girls, when we found out we weren't going to have any home matches, they actually contemplated not playing. And I had a lot of meetings at the beginning of the season. And I told them, this was really going to be a dress rehearsal for life, in my opinion, because in life you're going to have obstacles in front of you. You're going to have hurdles you're going to have to climb over. And I always, tell the girls, I said, you got to try to make a difficult situation. You got to make chicken salad out of chicken bleep. And that's what we did. I mean, we had a wonderful year. Every single day, it was a pleasure to be around these girls. When the matches were over, we would hear from the coaches on how much they enjoyed playing against our girls, how well respected and friendly they were. And one coach in particular, I'll never forget it. She called me up the next day after the match, and she said, "Coach, I just want to say your school's got to be very proud of these girls because they represented your school with class and dignity. And my girls it was an honor to play them." And I really took that to heart, because if you know these girls, you only have to spend around 10 minutes. And if you're not smiling after being around them, there's something wrong with you, because they're great kids. They're hard workers. They're wonderful people to be around. And I always tell them, I said, every one of them is going to be successful in life. There's no question about it. So I wanted to thank all of them. And when we had our coaches meeting the last day of the season, we had I believe it was the St. Ray's coach, Scott Corrin. He nominated the girls to win the Division II Sportsmanship Award. And usually I've been to so many of those meetings. They usually come down to 1 or 2 votes. It's between 3 or 4 teams. We actually it was a unanimous vote. All 13 coaches voted for North Providence. Just for how friendly and pleasant and well respected and how they conducted themselves. So it was an honor to coach you this year. So thank you, girls. So when we announce the players, could you just stand up, and then afterwards we'll give you your certificates. Isabella Cottarelli, Stephanie Jordan, Maria Fontaine, Caroline Ritchie, Isabella Wu, Isabella Sihala, Emily Velasquez, Andrea Maisonette, Mendy Chen, Alicia Zhuang, but she couldn't be here tonight, but give her a round of applause. Great kid. Lindsay LaPierre, and Jayla Hall. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Jerry. We have a certificate of recognition from the school committee, which I will read, and every girl will receive one. It says that the North Providence School Committee offers its sincerest congratulations and wishes continued success to the Rhode Island Tennis Coaches Association Sportsmanship Award to the North Providence Girls Tennis Team, presented by myself and Mr. Goho, Superintendent of Schools. Each of the girls will receive one of these certificates. And I decided to look up the word sportsmanship, see what it actually meant. And the definition of sportsmanship is fair and genuine behavior or treatment of others, especially in the area of sports. If you look around today of how people are treating each other, it's not very nice. But these girls treated everyone in a fair and generous way during their season, and they were recognized for it. And we are honored that you did receive this Sportsmanship Award in light of the fact of what is taking place today, where there's a lot of disrespect for one another, and we have to return to the respect for one another. And girls, you set a great example. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations, girls. Next item, I would like to invite Coach Michael Tordo to the podium to Coach Tordo is going to recognize our Super Bowl champion, North Providence High School Cougars.
First off, I'd like to thank the school committee, Superintendent Goho, and of course everyone that's here. Girls, congratulations on the Sportsmanship Awards. Clap it up for the girls tennis team, everybody. So this is wonderful to be here tonight to recognize our football team and the extraordinary season that we had. You know, the ups, the downs, and then obviously the great ups again. And I'm just so proud of the resilience and the adversity that we overcame to become state champions and win the Division IV Super Bowl. The effort, the time, the hard work, the blood, the sweat, the tears that goes into a football season, and not many people realize this. We started last January working out, January 2nd in the weight room, and our season just ended at Thanksgiving last year. So you're talking 11 months of going the grinds in the summer, in the heat, in pads, 2-a-days, you know, a lot of hard work. And the ultimate reward was received at the end of the season by playing together as a team. And I can't say furthermore how much playing as a team this was. Football is the ultimate team game. You need 11 guys moving in the same direction, and in order for that to work, and you know, we had an unbelievable season. And we have an expression, it's about we, not me, and that was truly shown all season long. The accolades that are rolling in for the individuals, but more importantly, togetherness as a team and for us being here. I couldn't be more proud of this group of young men and women for all of their hard work, their efforts, and as Mr. Ficcicelli said when he came in, and I have to give him tons of thanks for our athletic director. Let's clap it up for Mr. Ficcicelli. Behind the scenes, what he does for all of our athletic programs is astounding, but especially football, coming down, helping us out, and being my sounding board of me venting to him, going over different things. So I'm truly appreciative of him. But just being together and doing all of these wonderful things, for this group of building the school camaraderie back. And his saying was when he got hired to restore the roar. And I think that what the paper said in the Valley Breeze last week, the roar has been restored to North Providence football. So absolutely outstanding. I apologize. There is 49 names that I have to announce. I have to thank our assistant coaches, Coach Bello, Coach Rob Bello, Coach Thomas Calcagni, Coach Kyle Maynard, Coach Jason Ginalfi, Coach Victor Ayala, and Coach Ryan Pilata. A lot of these guys on our staff are volunteers, so they're not paid employees, and they come every single day, and they are all about the kids and the group and the camaraderie. This is an absolutely wonderful group of the stuff that they've done in the hallways at school, the culture that has been built, the respect that they have from their peers and their teachers is truly amazing, and it's something that I'm so happy to be a part of, and to lead this team and be with them and to have the ultimate goal and seeing these guys with the smiles on their faces, with the medals around their necks, repping North Providence football gear. There's not much more you can ask for as a teacher and as a coach. So congratulations, fellas. Now your 2023 Division IV Super Bowl champs. Guys, you hear your names, stand up. David Evans. Jaden Allard. Louis Baez. Weston Cooper. Frank Falso. Juan Baez. Grosu Fadija. Cody Gennard. Benny Borkman. Alexis Vieira. Gary Cleveland. Albert Pierce. Maxwell Washington. Jaden Teixeira. Mikey Allard. Robert Charette. Ash Pritchard. Joe Jennings. Noah Gomes. Kamani Thomas. Donnell Santana. Justin Escriva. Elliot Garcia. Nate Reese. Nolan Burke. Claudine Mazoka. Orlando Rivas Jr. Devin Chansey. Jonas Adeno. Everett Durrell. Cole Hosey. Emmanuel LaJofi. Jaden Johnson. Nicholas Bercoli. Darian Eccleston. Quentin Fortpa. Axel Zachez Cortez. Jack LaRock. Adrian Franco. Alex Rodriguez. Ali Karabish. Mervent Sansochi. Kenny Brown. Colin Dorgan. Ari Zetlin. Colin Roderick. Ethan Cash. Amari Gomes. And I know he's going to love this. Save the best for last. Henry Massangello. It was an extraordinary season. That last night also we had our all division picks, our all division nominations, and we ended up very, very well. I mean, when you win a Super Bowl, you have the accolades that we had as a team, but to represent some of these guys individually, we had 6 first-team all-division players. Mikey Allard as a running back, Emmanuel LaJofi as an offensive lineman, Colin Roderick as a tight end, Benny Borkman as a quarterback, Weston Cooper as a kicker, and Jaden Allard as a kick returner. Second team all-division selections were Cole Hosey, defensive line, Adrian Franco, defensive line, Henry Massangello, defensive ends, Juan Baez, defensive end and running back. And then we had 3 third-team all-division players. Luis Baez as a receiver, Jaden Johnson as an offensive lineman, and David Evans as a special teams player. One of the things that goes unnoticed on our run, and this was in the paper by the Providence Journal, David Evans made one of the biggest plays of our season that goes unheralded that no one talks about. We were down 12-0 at the time, reeling a little bit. We fumble the football. It goes down to the 2-yard line. David Evans out of nowhere jumps on the ball. We recover it, and then the rest is history. Mikey Allen breaks a 48-yard run, another 50-yard run for a touchdown, and we were cooking right from there and took the game over. So outstanding job. Last two major awards, and I'm sorry for taking up so much time. Emmanuel LaJofi was named offensive lineman of the year for all of Division 4. So congratulations, Emmanuel. Mikey Allen was a finalist for back of the year, and I'm sure there's going to be more accolades to come. He was this week's hometown hero for WPRI. So if you haven't checked that out, take a look at that on the website. Outstanding young man he is, and I'm sure there's going to be some all-state nominations coming his way. And, just unbelievable season that we have. And fellas, you know the deal. We got to, as Mike said, we got to run it back now, right, Mikey? Where's Mikey at? Fellas, you know the deal. All gas. Thank you very much, everybody.
One thing I would like to mention that Coach left out, Michael Torta was selected last night as the Division IV head football coach of the year. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Torto. Also, for all the players, we have a certificate of recognition, and it reads as follows. The North Providence School Committee offers its sincerest congratulations and wishes continued success to Division IV Super Bowl champions, signed by myself and Mr. Goho, Superintendent. And before I let you go, I just want to say a few words about both teams. On behalf of the North Providence School Committee and the North Providence School District and the town of North Providence, we congratulate both the North Providence High School Girls Varsity Tennis Team for winning the Sportsmanship Award, and also congratulate the North Providence High School Football Team for winning the Division IV Super Bowl. Both teams have honored the school district and town by their competition on the field and on the court. You have represented the school district, and town with dignity, and we thank both teams for that. We are proud of your achievement, and we wish you continued success. We also thank all your coaches for their leadership and commitment. Coaches, a huge thank you to all of you. You deserve a hand for that. Keep up the great work with our student athletes. I'd also like to congratulate in his first year as AD, Mr. Ficcicelli, for his leadership. For his leadership and support of our athletic programs. And I think Mr. Todd already mentioned, but Mike Allard received the MVP award for the Super Bowl game. And Mike, you know that you share that with every single player because it takes every single player to have one MVP. Thank you. Congratulations, everybody.
Okay, everybody, I know you have a lot of homework and preparations for tomorrow. The rest of the meeting is kind of boring, so we're going to let you guys go and not have to require you to stay for the rest of the meeting. Thanks, everybody. Congratulations, and great to see you. Stretch.
What's that?
Yeah.
Mic is on. So you just do the.
Yeah.
What was everybody's Thanksgiving?
We had a great Thanksgiving. Too much. Don't feel fresh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your presentation.
We got there plenty of them. Thank you, sir. Right?
But it was good. They did some positive stuff here.
We had some great things. That's very insulting to me. I'm going to be efficient. Don't you worry. I'm not going to do every slide. I'm going to summarize. Highlight. I listened to you and to my superintendent. Thank you. Yes, and that's what we're going to focus on. See, he already said it's so positive, Joe.
See? You're good.
You're killing me. You're gonna say something else.
It only.
That's all right.
Has to do with bone on bone.
I know. It's so nice that you see them. And
Okay, so moving on to the next item with some academic good news. As you may have read in the breeze, we received our RICAS results, and Mrs. Seitzinger and Ms. Van Avery are here to give the committee and the public a little bit of an overview, general overview of the data as our schools and our district continue to dive into the data. But we were quite pleased with the outcome. We know that obviously we have a considerable amount of work to do to improve overall achievement results, but we're very happy to see that 4 out of 5 of our elementary schools improved in all 3 areas, in ELA, math, and science. So with that, I will turn it over to Mrs. Seitzinger and Ms. Van Avery with a high-level overview of the results.
thank you so much, Superintendent Goho and members of the school committee. Great event tonight. Love seeing all the positivity with our teams. Congratulations again to them. And we have some more positivity to share with the committee tonight and with the community. So with that, we're going to begin. And as Mr. Goho said, this will be like more of a high-level overview, and you have the presentation. So there's lots of links and information in that presentation that you can link onto and dive into on your own. So with that, this is the current result for this year. NPSD's results for ELA for RICAS was 37% proficiency. And then for math, it was 24% proficiency. That means meeting or exceeding the standards. And then on the next slide, I've broken that down further to show you the difference between last year and this year in the district. So last year, 35% for ELA as a district, this year 37%. So, slight increase, but again, we want to be trending up. And after 2 years of working on this curriculum in terms of ELA and math, I mean, that's pretty good. So we're trending in the right direction in a positive way. And then in math, 1% increase. But by school, you can see, and I'm not going to go over every school, but just the green highlights positive results in terms of over 3% increase. And the dark tan, if you will, that's more of a, a slight decrease, or could be a more significant decrease. And then the negligible is 0. So you can see we had some quite significant gains at Centerdale, McGuire, Stephen Only, quite significant in both ELA and math, and Wayland in ELA, actually math, sorry. And then at Ritchie also in ELA. So we were quite pleased to see these results. And again, I just want to mention that the curriculum we currently have is high quality curriculum, which has been vetted and adopted by our school committee and and our community. So for math, we have Reveal Math from K to 12, but we've only had that curriculum for 2 years at both elementary, middle, and high. And then for the ELA curriculum at the elementary, it's been in place for 3 years. And for the middle school and high school, this is the second year of implementation. So it's pretty impressive to see that growth in such a short time. So what that tells me, as I'm kind of an objective party looking at it, is that the curriculum is working, is that we're doing the right things in terms of coaching, our learning walk feedback, really having really great conversations around data, interventions with students, progress monitoring of those interventions, and then great instructional focused conversations. So it's really exciting to be a small part of that. I'm so proud of our coaches, our teachers, and our students, and of course our principals. And the next slide, again, just showing you ELA and math results that are meeting and exceeding compared to the previous year. So you can see across the district in grade 3, improvement of 6%, 2% in grade 4, 12% in grade 5. Went down a little bit in grade 6, slightly in grade 7, and then up again in grade 8. And then math, same thing, a lot of increases. So very positive in grades 3, 4, 5. Again, went down in grade 6. So we have to look at that transition grade. Most transition grades are really important, so we'll look at that. And I did, in your presentation, you do have a cohort chart in there that looks at the cohorts going from grade to grade. And I had started to do that before COVID happened, and now started again using 21-22 as a baseline year. So you can look at that on your own. So the next slide shows those other links that I just mentioned if you want to look at those further in depth. And then I'm just going to go over some of the subgroups. Ms. Van Avery and I really work closely together on our special needs, for our special needs students and what we're doing in terms of our curriculum and interventions and support. So we're happy to report that in ELA, we had an increase of 4%. And in math, it was, a slight increase, but again, positive. And I'm going to skip over the next slide. And then we're going to go into the English learners. So I'm not going to go into the access test results right now because it's a little more complex to dive into in terms of levels, but this shows you again some increases for North Providence in our ELA for our English learners, up 5%, and then 4% in math. I'm going to skip the next few, Cindy. We're going to go to the science. Okay, so now we're starting to look at our Rhode Island science assessment results. Again, current year, very similar to last year, really almost exactly the same in terms of the district. However, when we look at the next slide, I've broken it down by schools and comparing it to the previous year. And again, these are different children, so we have to remember that too. It's interesting to follow the cohorts, which I said you can look at in our previous graph. But you see here we had some really positive increases in science. And again, we've had Amplify for 2 solid years in terms of, implementation, K to 8. So at Centerdale, increase of 11%, down at Greystone, this is also 5th grade only, 8% at McGuire increase, 15% at Stephen only, Wayland 14%. So those are quite significant. And again, we started at a lower baseline, we know that, but to make those positive increases tells me that, again, instruction, curriculum, the things that we're doing in terms of those areas are working well. And then at Birchwood, 8% increase, slight decrease in Ritchie, and then the high school decrease. So I'm going to explain later on how we're addressing those concerns and our strengths and needs too. But a lot of positive information there. On the next slide, really quickly, again, just looking at our special needs students. Just want to show the positive results in grades 8 and 11. So for the science assessment, up 2% for grade 8 and up 6% in grade 11. So it's important to highlight those positive outcomes. I'm skipping a whole bunch until we get to PSAT and SAT. So now we're going to just go over our PSAT and SAT data. We did get the new results from October's results for PSAT. I did not put that in this presentation, but I will share those in the future. So for PSAT for math, an increase of 5%. compared to last year. And then the English reading and writing, -8%. And then it's interesting, we had an opposite kind of outcome for SATs, -7% in math, and then 5% increase in English reading and writing. So the next couple of slides after that, again, just show you over the years for those PSAT and SAT results. And the next slides, I'm just going to really summarize very quickly in terms of what we're trying to do. And Cindy and I will share a few things that we're adding on to this. So in terms of the high school for math, through the curriculum work, the revision that we do with curriculums based on our data, professional learning that we're supporting our teachers with, coaching, learning walks and feedback, interventions such as the ALEX program in math, and also through our core curriculum. There are so many wonderful resources and interventions and enrichment supports in our core curriculum. Our goal is to continue to improve. And I also wanted to mention through our accountability rating last year, some of our schools were, I think people might remember this, that they were identified as having a need for targeted supports, whether it was ATSI, which is additional targeted supports and interventions, or just targeted support interventions. So the high school had some of those recognitions, and they are working on those specific interventions in math through many programs, including our core curriculum. So we really, I just want to stress again the importance of the alignment of the curriculum and how important that is in terms of outcomes. And all of our curriculum is aligned, and we do, through our curriculum teams and through school-based teams, really examine our data and how we do on these assessments and then revise our curriculum accordingly to what we need to do. So we really appreciate the support of our curriculum teams and, again, our whole entire team. And then in ELA for the high school, again, many teachers completed the right to read awareness training already at the high school level. And secondary level proficiency training will take place more next year, and then we'll basically be done with, for our district, we're in really good shape with that throughout the district. This year we're working on grades 3 and 4 for proficiency training for the right to read. And that's about the science of reading instruction. So people are really learning to understand what is the research behind how to teach reading and how to apply it into the classroom. So it's really important. So again, through our curriculum revision, through everything I mentioned earlier, professional learning, the learning walks, the feedback, and really these conversations, and I think key conversations with teachers and teams about the content and the curriculum and what's impacting instruction, we're making really positive changes. And then the next one just addresses the science at the high school. I think we're going to be looking more at, getting students to really practice those items on the test, taking interim assessments, and really addressing the needs of our students at that level. And it's a little challenging because we do not have a vetted curriculum for the high school yet for science, but Rhode Island Department of Ed is working on that with ed reports, and we're hoping to get something hopefully before 2026-27. And I want to thank Mr. Cicerone who's here, and the department, and Ms. Bronco and Mrs. McGill for all their hard work in that area. So we're excited about using the data that we have at the high school level and really aligning that to what we're doing at the K-8 level. And then for the other items, I just wanted to mention again, this is for the rest of the district. We're reviewing all of the data, analyzing it now. We have an immense amount of information. We're looking at the item analysis, which really tells us how did the students perform on certain items. We look at our released items. I observed a data meeting just recently at Centerdale, which did an excellent job looking at their items and how it related to their school data. So we do the same thing with our curriculum teams as far as our district. What are the things that we have strengths in? What are the areas we have needs in? And we look at that through our curriculum lens. And then, of course, the ongoing PD, through learning walks, again, the feedback, that instructional focus is going to continue. And then a few highlights, and then I'll let Ms. Avery speak to on special ed, some highlights. I mentioned that we're doing the right to read for grades 3 and 4 this year. All of the things that I mentioned that we're doing to really focus in on our curriculum, instruction, assessments, data, and really not just looking at it, but how is it impacting instruction in the classroom for our students and for our schools. So a few other things that I want to give Ms. Van Avery an opportunity to speak to for special needs and what we're doing in certain areas.
I'm not as tall as Louise. Okay. Just quickly, I wanted to just briefly highlight all of the inclusive activities that every one of our schools are doing, specifically more so at our elementary school this past 2 years. And so over the summer, our 5 elementary principals participated in a 3-day inclusive schooling professional development and really took away a lot of things to put back in the classrooms. We have less students being taught out in the hallway or in bump out rooms, really more involved with the high quality curriculum, which is what we should be doing all along. So it's been really awesome to see that. A great example of that is Centerdale. You saw a big improvement in their scores. They started the initiative and working really, really hard to be more inclusive with all students. So it's great to see their scores go up. And so the model that we used at Centerdale last year, I have put aside funding in our IDEA grant to also do those same things at the other 4 elementary schools. So we're excited to see how the impacts of that as well. And then we continue with our MTSS coordinators. That was a big piece, making sure we weren't over identifying students with special needs and going down a path that they weren't ready for. So we're doing a tremendous amount of work with Tier 1 and Tier 2 interventions. Again, monitoring our numbers for special education. One of the other things we were taking a look at in terms of our special education department was the accommodations that we were identifying our students needing. So we are partnering with the Department of Education for several sessions with our special educators to make sure we're identifying the correct accommodations that are needed for our students so that they can be successful on state exams. And then, and just a couple, 2 other quick things. Our special education mentors are doing a phenomenal job with our brand new special education teachers, really giving them the skills and the knowledge to be great, not only North Providence employees, but special educators as well. And then the last piece that Louise has on the bottom was we added those 2 new LEA, elementary special ed coordinators. What a huge difference that has made in terms of our special education teams, compliance, best practice. I can't say enough about the work that they've been doing with our special education teams and the general education staff in all 5 elementary schools. So it's been really great to see, and we continue on with all of these things. We anticipate our scores going up even more. Absolutely. So the other thing that we had implemented this year is moving away from Skyward for our special education students, that module. We are now using PowerSchool. So again, that's a great way to capture, a better way of capturing data, making sure we were better at compliance, as well as making sure that all of our teams were consistent. We were all using the same forms, same documentation, and having the same dialogue across the district. So that's been really awesome to see from pre-K all the way to the age of 22. And then continuing on with our LEAP grant, we obviously have been able to finally fill our SEL coordinator position, and we're able to provide additional professional development to our high school in terms of special ed and our general education. We are focusing on co-teaching and again, inclusive practices at the high school level as well.
All right, so one more, and we have one final slide. So again, just to really quickly sum up, we have currently we have 22 teachers who are certified to teach MLL students, and we are adding to that every day. I just sent something out today, as a matter of fact, from Roger Williams about another cohort that they're starting. So we do have funds set aside in our categorical funding for teachers that are interested in that. So we're looking forward to more people getting certified. We have a great partnership with Roger Williams. We have MLL teachers now at every single school and 2 at the high school. We're very proud of that, and thanks to Mr. Goho's commitment and myself to making sure that it's equitable across the district. And it really has made a huge difference to support our MLL students, of which we have has really grown over the last few years. Ms. Van Avery mentioned the Ruler SEL program. That's going very well. Our new SEL coordinator, who you will meet at some point, probably in the spring, she'll come and do a presentation, a brief one. She's already doing a tremendous job of working with our teachers at the secondary and elementary levels to help them really integrate that into their classroom practice. And that came out of that bipartisan Safer Schools community grant that we received. And then also we have math interventionists for the 2nd year at the elementary level. that is grant funded and that will remain. And also at our middle schools, we have math interventionists. So a lot of wonderful things happening. And I wanted to just mention for our MLL students, we have the interpretation services. We have Elevations program that we use as a platform that really helps our general ed teachers to support those MLL students. And Imagine Learning is for our newcomer students. So the last thing I would like to say is just all of these initiatives, all of these supports are all aligned to our district strategic plan and all of the school improvement plans, which are aligned to our plan. So we're really proud of that. And I think I say this to Mr. Go a lot. We're just really proud of the hard work that's been done. And I think it's starting to show and it will continue to show.
Thank you for your presentation, ladies.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions by the committee? I just have a couple of personal comments. Certainly doesn't represent the consensus of the committee, but the debate now surrounding RICAS test scores has consumed a lot of the education rhetoric, obviously. And standardized test scores have been part of the American education system since the mid-1880s. And we can continue to talk about the pros and cons surrounding standardized testing. We can continue to criticize educators for lack of student performance. And yes, there will always be critics for lack of student performance. However, remember, standardized tests were never designed to be used as a standalone analysis of a student's ability. Ideally, standardized tests evaluate not just what the student already knows, but it evaluates learning potential. Standardized test scores allow ranking of students, schools, and educators and funding. Standardized testing has a limited view of successful learning and improvement. Instead of looking at each child as a whole person, standardized testing breaks down the student into specific academic subcategories, such as reading and math. Result, test data can give you a skewed view of a student. I read an article in Education Week, which I think best captures the true definition of standardized testing. And I quote, "Standardized testing has shifted the emphasis of education from learning to passing." I think we can all agree that standardized testing is a useful tool and has merit. However, it is not a comprehensive assessment of a student. Schools and parents should view standardized testing not as a value judgment on students, teachers, and schools, but rather should be viewed as an additional data point that can provide some perspective on student learning. Educators work hard every day. Teachers know their students best, and they recognize the students' strengths and weaknesses far more effectively than one data point. We need to support our teachers, administrators, our schools, our parents, and most importantly, our students. We need to provide positive learning environments, and most importantly, we should always make decisions in the best interest of students. We must remember that educators are responsible for educating the whole child, including the child's physical health, mental well-being, social skills and citizenship, emotional health, and cognitive skills. Teachers, school leaders, and school staff working with parents focus on the development of the whole child, not just a data point from a standardized test. Standardized testing should not consume our rhetoric. We need to put our collective expertise on providing students the very best opportunity to be successful. I support our hardworking teachers, administrators, and school staff. Teaching is a very challenging and at times very overwhelming job. The goal of a K-12 educator is to prepare each student to become a positive contributing member of a very, very complex society. And working with parents, we will affect students every day and their opportunity to choose their career paths. I always remember this inspiring quote, and I'll end with this quote from an unknown author. And I quote, Teaching is the one profession that creates all other professions. And I think we should always keep that in mind. So thank you to all our educators. Thank you for your input and your review of the test data. If anyone else has any comments, they're welcome to make any comments or any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Just a couple of points I want to emphasize just so that the committee is aware in case you are asked any of this information by parents who might be inquiring. As you know, there was a state law passed requiring districts to implement high-quality curricula in ELA, math, and science pre-K through 12. So we had begun that process. Unfortunately, through the LEAP grant, which provided additional federal funds to North Providence, we were able to accelerate that process so that we have in place, way ahead of the deadline set by the legislature, high-quality curricula in all areas. As Mrs. Seitinger said, we're just waiting on RIDE to give us some options for high school science. So that is a key piece to make sure that you have an aligned curriculum in place. It is available to the public on our website as well. And then the next piece is to make sure that that curriculum is taught with fidelity. So working with our consultants and our math and ELA and literacy coaches, we have conducted regular learning walks, which began last year. And what we are noticing this year already is a much more consistent and uniform implementation of that curriculum, not only within grade levels at individual schools, but also from grade to grade within each individual school, and also from school to school. So the schools are no longer operating in silos, and we have a quality control system in place to make sure that that investment that we have made in the high quality curriculum is checked regularly, and those learning walks will continue to ensure that our curriculum is being implemented with fidelity. We don't want to lose the joy, especially at the elementary level, the joy of learning and all the activities that go along with that. We're not looking for a test prep environment, but if our students are to succeed and our investment is to be worthwhile, we need to ensure that that curriculum is being taught with fidelity. And then it's up to our teachers with the grade level planning time that they have and the common planning time, working with their administrators to analyze the data, find the learning gaps, and then to provide the interventions, which we are doing. We've added special ed support services for differently abled kids. We've developed programs in our own district to bring back kids who are educated outside of the district so we can ensure that our own professionals are teaching our students and that our kids are exposed to the regular ed curriculum that we are providing all students. And we've also dramatically increased the MLL services in the district. We're very fortunate now. We were severely understaffed in MLL, and as you know, especially post-COVID, our MLL numbers have significantly increased. So we're very happy about the fact that now, where we had MLL specialists that were split between 2 and 3 schools, we now have 1 MLL specialist at every school and 2 at the high school. So we've come a long way with that. So we've been able to repurpose and use federal dollars, grant dollars, and repurpose positions so that we can provide additional MLL supports for our kids. So we feel with all of this in place, we should continue to see good results. Typically, when you implement a new curriculum, sometimes you even see a regression. We didn't see that this year. We know that curriculum usually takes about 3 to 5 years to take hold, and we're glad that we saw some positive results in the initial year. So I just wanted to make sure that not get too far into the weeds, but that the committee is aware of the big pieces of what we're doing to improve our overall achievement for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goho. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for the inclusive data. Very good report. Thank you. Item number 8, school committee reports. Mr. Pollack.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. On November 18th, I had the distinct honor to chaperone the North Providence Air Force JOTC cadets at the 21st Rhode Island Aviation Hall of Fame dinner, where numerous honorees were recognized by this organization. Off of their website, the mission of their organization basically is the Rhode Island Aviation Hall of Fame is a volunteer-driven nonprofit group that is dedicated to identifying, honoring, and perpetuating the memory of those individuals who have contributed to Rhode Island's rich aviation history. I would like to thank this prestigious organization and retired Major Frank Lennon for inviting our cadets. I believe this is their 2nd year. Major Lennon had the cadets all stand and acknowledge them publicly, for which the entire room gave them a great round of applause. Major Lennon even mentioned how far this program has come in over a year, to the point last year they didn't even have uniforms. This year they look very sharp in their uniforms. Just a couple of quick highlights from the night. We got to witness retired Major David Nuttall's induction into the Hall of Fame, and he also received the Rhode Island Star Medal. They got to meet Dewey Terrilli, who served as a radio operator in a P-51 Mustang squadron on Iwo Jima in 1945. By the way, Mr. Terrilli will be turning 101 years old in February. Also want to thank Major General Callahan of Rhode Island National Guard and Cassignon, Director of Rhode Island Office of Veterans Affairs, for taking the time to meet, speak, and take pictures with the cadets throughout the evening. A little about the cadets, my perspective. The cadets were extremely engaged from the time they arrived to the time they left. I was stuck in traffic. I got there about 10 minutes after the doors opened, which was roughly an hour before the event started. Cadets were waiting for me inside the door for me to arrive before they would go sit down, some of them. They certainly represented themselves, the North Providence JROTC program, and the town of North Providence in a manner we can all be proud of. I encourage anybody to Google Rhode Island Aviation Hall of Fame, do some research on them, and they will give you the full itinerary of the program that night. But I really appreciate being asked to chaperone these amazing young people, and it was a great night for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. Any comments from committee members?
I would just like to
Thank
thank Mr. Pollock and really the entire committee, not only for your advocacy for the program, but also the committee for supporting the budget that allowed us to hire the instructor and provide the program resources and supplies, and also Mrs. Caffrey, our CTE director, because you're right, that program really is flourishing and a credit to the community, and it's fun watching it grow. And so I don't think it should be lost on the community that the school committee really advocated for this position for a couple of years. And so I wanted to personally thank you and acknowledge that.
Thank you. Item number 9, old business. We have no old business. Item number 10, new business. Mr. Coho.
Thank you, Dr. Pilata. So I would request a motion to approve the part-time facilities support position, the job description enclosed in your packet.
So moved.
A motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, I would request a motion to approve the part-time facility support position contract template as submitted.
Second.
Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is I would request a motion to approve the special education contract with preferred healthcare staffing, which is to staff our intensive academic support classroom.
So moved.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is I would request a motion to approve the Innovex contract for the district copy and fax machines in order to lock in pricing.
Motion made.
Second.
Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is I would request a motion to approve from fund balance the purchase of a new electronic message board in front of North Providence High School. I would ask that you approve the invoice from Media Now, which is the lowest price that we were able to procure from the state approved. I would like to thank Mr. Nahejian for his helping. Yeah, the mics keep going on and off. Don't know why. I want to thank Mr. Nahejian in helping us to get a great price.
Motion made.
Second.
Just one
Any
question, Joe.
questions? Mrs. Picard.
Correct. So we've been able to receive some money from athletic department, also some past classes that were unable to leave a class gift, and then we would use fund balance to make up the difference, which would be an appropriate fund
Thank you.
for this one-time capital purchase.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is I would ask for approval by the committee of the updated dress code policy as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Last item is I would request a motion for the removal of obsolete books from the North Providence High School Library according to the submitted list by our high school librarian.
I looked over the list. I don't want any. Motion made.
Second?
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, approval of bills.
Second?
Motion made, second. Any questions on the bills? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12, use of property.
So moved?
Motion made, second. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no requests to address the committee. We have no pending business. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.